Players can now answer what if in worlds with unrealistic threats and different laws of nature. Either in narrative fiction or games, the player can answer, what would I do if magic existed? How can I survive? What if I had superpowers? How would I use them? There is no limit to the unlikely situations we can explore. Our narrative worlds are the dreamtime of our culture. If aliens were real, what would they want from us? Would I stop them? Or even choose to help them?
But damn, it's kind of weird to be killing the Na'vi. Like, the movie is all about how these Na'vi are the super pure, happy people whose livelihoods are getting destroyed by the humans, and here I am just killing waves of them like it's a goddamn video game, but it is a goddamn video game, so, you know, you just kind of get used to it, I guess.
What if we could shrink or become giants? We can, because it can be imagined. We can try it on for size in virtual reality.
Moo moo, motherfucker. I want to smash the wall! Ow!
I can survive any doomsday scenario, and let me take a moment to prove my end-of-the-world problem solving.
Boy, Morty, I really Cronenberg the world up, didn't I?
Kablammy, kablammy, kablammy. Kablammy, kablammy. Any more shots? Kablammy. Oh, okay.
Yes, I love it when the head flies off.
Whether simulations for career training, historical or social reenactments, or simply testing our fears, every day we communicate better how situations feel and put others directly inside them.
Wow!
Step to the right.
You're gonna hit the top. Wow.
You'll just float.
Wow.
You'll float.
Really?
Yeah.
Go! Jump!
Oh, falling! Oh my god! Oh my god! When you fall, that is terrifying!
Go!
Whew. Arms out. Wow. Whoop. I love me some space sims.
We can explore violence or personal injury.
Suspect! Shoot!
Come here, buddy. I can't walk. Oh, shit. Get me the fuck out of here.
Look up, Tom.
Now that's refreshing.
The component of time.
We're going very quick. Whoa! Oh yes, the opening credits. I love virtual reality. Guys, like, how else are you gonna be in the opening credits of Doctor Who?
88 miles per hour!
At the very beginning, honestly, it kind of gave me motion sickness. It was that fast.
This is still a game, a video game. It is not a movie, it is not a comic. The player needs to have agency and be able to interact with this in a fun way. So to make them play an entire game in slow-mo probably wouldn't be fun. This is a hard problem to tackle. On top of that, let's say Flash runs into someone at super speed. Does it just do nothing? Does it kill them?
Don't you ever besmirch Billy Joe.
I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop. I can't stop.
Robin?
And find that we are capable of true wonders.
Be it time travel, speed, altering the speed of geologic time, tricks to pace the story, or even just the time it takes to complete a task, the component of time shapes the fundamental reality of a world.
Bus, 360 miles from Tucson, Arizona to Las Vegas, Nevada. 45 miles per hour maximum speed. It takes 8 hours to drive it if you do it right. And there's a little bit of a pull to the right. It's not glamorous, it's not pretty, it's not exciting. It's real.
Better hate than love.
Oh no, it crashed. Please tell me you kidding. No, I'm not kidding.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
The component of identity. Cultures and subcultures, socioeconomics, carry over ideas about race and religion, body morphology, sexual orientation, all factor into how we construct our identities.
Or it's no longer through a digital window, no longer through a screen or a phone, but actually being there with them. And that to me is what VR is. Connection.
So in recent years, many people have been OTPing and fanboying and fangirling for their waifus and husbandos in the anime community.
Anime Overlord, the character Albedo is revealed to be a virgin, despite her sexualized appearance. It's a rarity to hear a character say something like this outside of anime.
Let's go.
Aw, that was really small.
I've never seen a PP in my life, and that's the first time I've actually seen it besides my dad.
Wait, what? Besides what?
I'm not kidding. Besides my dad, that's the first time I've ever seen it.
I've got a question.
Wait, someone go get the cake.
Oh,
We need
so awesome.
we need to sell.
awesome.
We need.
It's so bright, so vivid. Double rainbow, double rainbow. It's so clear. What does this mean? It's starting to look like a purple rainbow. Got the whole rainbow back. Double rainbow on a rainbow.
This is another sexy avatar. I feel like she takes the blood of her exes and uses it to stay young forever.
Dun ding, bada dun ding, bada dun. I was a Burger King making flavor whoppers. I wear paper hats. Would you like an apple pie with that? Would you like an apple pie with that?
Cities within 10 tiles are pressured by other cities to accept their religion, and holy cities exert additional pressure. That's for passive spread. As for actively spreading religion, missionaries are best suited for just spreading religion, but apostles, the new unit, can do it too, though at a higher cost. Both those units are bought using faith, by the way. It's also been reported that you can capture cities using religious fervor alone, but we haven't actually seen this in action. But if it's true, religious conquest could be a thing.
Let's talk about the brush skin in VR chat. This part's pretty important. These skins are everywhere. Go to a bar, they're there. Go to a chill room, they're there. Go to the furry hub, you guessed it, they're there. They look a bit different.
The creator says that he isn't giving to anyone, even with grades.
Yo, let me sweet talk him though, for real.
Wait, so what would you trade for that?
Like 5 soul points. Creator then, what's his name?
I mean, his Twitter's up here. We could
Tail. Who's the creator?
Blue Aces.
Hey man, recently I've been playing a lot of VR chat and it seems people are obsessed with the brush skins, and I hear your name a lot when it comes to the creation of them, so I was wondering if I could ask you a few questions for a video I'm working on.
A lot of newer users don't really understand the game, and it's quite interesting because the whole Quest scene, like all of the new users from Quest, seem to think that there's some kind of rarity system in the game, and there's some kind of like value attached to an independent avatar, and it's not the case. Like, there is no rarity system.
Then she goes, "Oh, I can't believe we met the guy who made the brush skin."
I know, fuck. I never thought I'd meet the brush guy creator.
And I'm like, he made the brush skin?
He said that it was just like a doodle he had in his sketchbook from like college. He'd been to like a zoo and seen a marmoset monkey and had drawn it, and then eventually I guess he modelled it and it blew up at some point.
Wow.
Massively multiplayer.
The average playtime for players has been said to be around 24 hours per week. That is one day out of the week that you would see someone sitting in front of a computer or TV, chatting, adventuring, or expressing themselves.
Similar to identity, we interact within larger groups. We construct or modify our environment by adding a social layer of culture.
They let you be who you want to be, with no limits basically except for the game mechanics, and even gender. You can be whatever gender you feel like being. It really lets you be free from your physical body.
Straight up, if you're saying about it,
Oh,
because she's
really?
Doom's best friend, which is Pinky's ex-boyfriend. That's the bitch that you're dating.
Yes.
And she had the
Oh my
balls to
God,
say
you guys
it to
need a
Brooklyn, but she
life.
hasn't said to my face.
All right, have fun.
Really?
They need a life, then why were you sitting there sending messages
I'm horny.
and yeah,
Can't
he
hear
leaves,
you.
but
It's too loud in here.
I think how people behave on the internet, but also how people kind of get things into their head where they think that there's more going on than there is, or there's something there that's not, and also like a paranoia, because I experienced it recently, and my feeling is that everyone should play the game how they want to play the game, and not how they feel that, not how someone else appears to want them to play the game.
EverQuest is often referred to as the world's prettiest chat room. And it was because the social interaction was such a huge draw for the games that they built content into the games designed to enhance it and rely on it. If many players talking...
That's what I was saying about how people, they were just so happy to be able to talk to other people and interact with other people. That's the only thing that really mattered to them. Like, the other stuff was kind of all irrelevant, and it's like whatever. Like, what was really special was being able to interact with other people and have that experience.
Until one day, Norath went dark. I suffered a massive ischemic stroke that left me mostly blind for nearly a year. Although this is what I saw of Norath for most of that first year, I refused to give up on Norath, all of the friends and memories I had made here. I continued to struggle to play, and as I did, my vision began to return. 2 years later, present day, I have regained nearly all of my vision. I fully believe that without this wonderful game, my world may have stayed dark forever. Thank you, EverQuest.
Focused on allowing everyone to play it and removing all barriers to entry, it removed a core component of what made it attractive in the first place. In order to attract more players, they removed the need to communicate, despite the fact the early players were attracted by the need to communicate.
Yeah.
With groups now being so easy to form and personal reputation on a server being all but forgotten, players could now look at other players not simply as important people, but as replaceable group members. Social side is being picked up elsewhere, like here. You're watching a YouTube
I
video.
think this is really bad that MMOs expect these third-party websites to take on the responsibility of being social, because I think by the nature of the third-party websites existing and people using them, the person has to be invested in the game enough to want to use third-party websites. And because many people don't get invested in the game enough to use third-party websites, and they're not serious gamers enough, they don't ever even have that experience because it's kind of out of their reach and the scope of what they would do as a casual player. So I think that, like, while this Discord and stuff is cool, not having it in game is really, really bad. And you have to have it in game or you're going to miss a huge portion of people that are just casual players, that they don't have Discord, they don't download Discord, they're just playing this game. That's it.
Augmented or mixed reality. The traditional delegation of entertainment and information to specific or tethered locations has been diminishing since before the advent of mobile phones.
Personally, I would love to see my coffee mug in my virtual space while I'm doing work. But, you know, that's just me.
I really love how this project turned out, especially this 2D plan here that I've set at the exact height of my table. This way, it felt like I was touching a real surface while in VR. And this coffee mug was also another test that I wanted to make to see what would happen when manipulating a moving object in the real world, and this was not without spilling some coffee all over the place.
Where you're no longer typing code into a screen that happens to be VR, but you're manipulating objects in the 3D space around you that happens to build an application or build some logic that you want to use.
It's the feeling of freedom and control over the learning process.
And you can try all kinds of different stuff. I mean, I've done examples where you just reach up and grab the mirror and move it where it should be, right? Because you can see exactly where it should be in space.
I don't even know what you call it, a ventilator or I don't know. I make stuff, I don't name it.
In virtual reality, the quote-unquote food is represented by abstract 3D shapes that correspond to real-life bites prepared on site. Guests can interact with these virtual shapes and forms, and then literally eat them.
We will soon be increasingly inside our devices, and our physical landscapes will be just as interactive and informational without being distinct.
I did go off on a few tangents, firstly exploring portals, creating a sense of depth within the artwork itself, to even activating things like merchandise and posters. So working with organizations like Creative Victoria and Adobe to bring these static illustrations and artworks to life.
Economics.
You know, at first I wasn't sure if there'd be any interest in my work, but you know, I've made so much from the crypto art community, from the collectors and investors that have shown interest in my pieces, that I've decided to, I guess, go full time this year to see how far I can push these boundaries. The ability to authenticate digital assets doesn't just apply to crypto art. It can apply to, you know, 3D objects, wearable items, virtual reality sculptures, and it can apply to any type of digital asset. And that's what I found quite fascinating.
The artificial worlds we create require an equivalent economic understanding to the real world. If we treat them recklessly, they will also be in danger of collapse.
What I can only describe as anime-flavored social media platform had hundreds of thousands of users logging in on a daily basis. Just like the Angelic Halo, prices for these monthly collectibles tended to get pretty high pretty fast after they were cycled out, since you could only buy them through Gaia during the month that they came out. After that, your only hope to get them was through the site's marketplace, and the marketplace, I'd like to remind you, had prices that were completely dictated by the site's users. And you know, you don't exactly need a degree in economics to understand the basic principle of supply and demand. Unless you were particularly lucky or active, the site's typical gold gathering methods like posting in the forums, playing games, and visiting towns and all that could only net you 1, maybe 2,000 gold a day. Now, more recent monthly collectibles, these were a little more obtainable. They were usually sold for a couple of tens of thousands of Gaia gold, but then there's the older monthly collectibles like the Angelic Halo and the Panda Hat, and they would routinely be sold sold for hundreds of thousands and even millions of gold. It's around this same time that some users took to selling their Gaia items on eBay for real money rather than Gaia gold. $6,000 USD. Oh, does that sound like a big number? And then by March of 2014, it was 30,000 Gaia gold. In just that year, its price had gone up 150,000%, and it would still somehow get worse when Gaia would become a textbook example of an economy that's gone off the rails. In May of 2014, the MIT Press published Virtual Economies Design and Analysis by Vili Ledonvirta and Edward Castronova. And sure enough, the sorry state of Gaia's...
But for many people living in Venezuela, RuneScape is literally helping them survive. Martinez used to be an accountant, but due to the country's crumbling economy, his wages dropped so low that he couldn't feed himself. Quote, "Over time, my salary became less than $4 a month, and I just couldn't do anything with it. So I decided to try a game my neighbor was telling me to play for money." And amazingly, he was able to use RuneScape to raise $450 to escape Venezuela and make it to Peru. After which, he continued to play the game and saved an additional $1,000 to get his mother and girlfriend out as well. And even a major clan in the game, Reign of Terror, which to be fair, doesn't have the best reputation with the RuneScape community, has a well-known stance against Venezuelan gold farmers. They'll often send groups of their members into areas such as Rev Caves and gang up on anyone farming in the area. And this has led to some truly wild shit. Whole protection agencies have been formed for players trying to farm Revenant Caves. Essentially, you pay gold to these groups, and they make sure nobody else comes in and tries to kill you while you farm.
Girls give lap dances, but there's also a lot of BDSM furniture and animations in.
I suppose it's a bit like an author being removed from the death scene of a favorite character. You know, it does register,
Wow.
but...
Right here, like in this mainland, and this is where they're spawning people. This property is sold for 400,000 mana. It could literally be worth 400,000 USD if this game goes mainstream. Even if it goes mainstream just in the crypto community, this land could literally be worth that much because there's a lot of people in cryptocurrency with a lot of money, and a lot of those people are people that advertisers want to get to. They're people that will be spending a lot more than your average person. You've got to think about this, right? The average person in the US, they're making maybe $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. The average person in tech is making more like $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year. If you can hit those $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 income people or 100,000 plus income people, you can get way more sales than you will from someone making $30,000, $40,000, or $50,000. So a game like World of Warcraft that applies to the majority of people, a lot of people that play that game are probably younger. They might not be making as much. Now, that's no diss towards anyone playing World of Warcraft or any MMORPG. I, in fact, play a lot of those games. But I'm just saying, like, your average player of an MMORPG or your average Fortnite player is not going to be making millions of dollars a year. But a game like this, your average player might be making, $70,000, $80,000.
The real estate market has been rallying over the last few years, and not just in the real world. There are thousands of plots of virtual land worth millions of dollars for sale, and people are buying them up every day.
Welcome to Worlds Online, the internet's first 3D virtual world platform in continuous service since 1994. In one shared virtual space, online users can shop, watch movies, listen to music, play games, and collaborate with each other. Today's web user is looking for an intimate connection with friends, with celebrities, and with trending brands that reflect their values and lifestyle in both the real world and the virtual.
The game was a big success, mostly attributed to the novelty of virtual online chat rooms at the time, and garnered the attention of various big names, including David Bowie, Steven Spielberg, and a digital artist by the name of Tamiko Thiel. The latter two actually teamed up at one point and created an in-game environment called the Starbright World, which was aimed at giving seriously ill children an outlet to interact. Worlds.com is still downloadable and accessible to this day, and stands as an uncanny and deserted relic of the past. Rumor has it that the game's creator, Tom Kidron, is simply fronting the server costs himself. Tom Kidron, in his many years as the world's owner, has become somewhat known as something called a patent troll. In this case, Kidron's been squatting on patent number 7,181,690, which is titled System and Method for Enabling Users to Interact in a Virtual Space. This was filed on August 3, 2000, with further detail in the following. The invention provides a highly scalable architecture for a three-dimensional graphical multi-user interactive virtual world system. In a preferred embodiment, a plurality of users interact in a three-dimensional, computer-generated graphical space where each user executes a client process to view a virtual world from the perspective of that user. Sounds broad, doesn't it? That was on purpose. Andy's used it. Even as of this year, there are articles all over Google explaining legal cases that Worlds Inc. has filed against companies and IPs such as Second Life, Blizzard, Bungie, and more. And according to a Vice article from 2015, Kidron rakes in a whopping $200,000 a year from his corporate.
The boundaries of world building are not explicitly bound to technology, but instead our imagination.
I lived in San Francisco for 11 years and had to leave because of gang stalking activities and being surveillanced and monitored and all the frequency manipulation. And it's a really serious thing to have done to somebody.
I saw a way to play that was entirely new, and them treating it like a game offended me.
And at that moment, it really didn't feel like a game anymore. It was genuinely scary.
A trail of crumbs, a peculiar scavenger hunt, an instant message offering a code, unlocking a map leading to a key to a hidden lockbox containing a rare coin which purchases some magic beans, which when watered grow into an interweaving storyline until you are immersed.
You become an agent given license to explore the urban environment in both public and private places.
There is physical jamming. Now get off this phone and dance, motherfucker!
We needed to stop the energy attack by rigorous physical jamming, which is what we did. So I started dancing, and then I started hearing music. And this guy showed up with a boombox, and he started dancing with me. And then a Sasquatch showed up, and he started dancing with us. And there was a moment that the song ended, and we heard what sounded like angels singing, and the Sasquatch gave me the transcript. Which, that's a very weird thing to say, but that happened.
I was terrified, as I'm sure Sarah was, that we had riled up an angry mob and then we were going to throw some goons in front of them. And what are they going to do? And so I decided that we needed to tell them what to do, and that the way you fought goons was rigorous silent jazz hands. However, even given that, something that became a part of the lore other than jazz hands, they brought bells. I don't know whose idea it was, but they brought bells. They were armed. You can see them shaking the bells. They were armed with bells.
You are ready to sacrifice yourself. Your body is a matchstick ready to catch fire. This is not the end. The video then redirects to a second video, 2.5 minutes of a nude woman alone in a room, writhing in what could either be interpreted as discomfort or sexual pleasure. Most notably in this video were 4 coordinates. One in Norway, one in Russia, but unbeknownst to the players, Alpha Center was a real Russian security firm. However, the website and Wikipedia entry in which the players were interacting with had been fabricated by the ARG creators. This led players to inadvertently initiate contact with an actual Russian security firm, accusing them of holding women hostage and requesting information to log into their website, and doing so while mistakenly assuming they were interacting with ARG characters. Not to mention that the terms Junsui and the Sisterhood were synonymous titles for a real-world coalition of female suicide bombers named the Black Widows, who had been targeting Russian security companies in the Caucasus Mountains since the year 2000. This fact was bolstered on August 17th when a Facebook post stated that an attack was coming, and within an hour an actual suicide bombing took place in Russia, near the location in which the Junsui were allegedly located. Although this is believed to be a morbid coincidence.
We built this thing, and in that, like, you know, it was impossible to control. Took it to more of an extreme than I think we maybe meant to.
Almost a decade after the whole thing began, co-creator Patrick Marcassano created an account on Unfiction in order to make the following post. Back in 2007, when we first began conceiving and planning Junko Junsui, it was largely out of fascination with the propaganda and psychological warfare techniques of Vladimir Putin's regime. So yes, we admit we purposely broke all of the rules of alternate reality games whenever possible, especially by the outing of our character's most vocal critics. According to Patrick's post, the alarming state of current political affairs in his home country of the United States inspired him to break his long silence and reveal his intentions with the game, and why he allowed things to unfold in such a dishonest way.